Hello. Do you know, I was just thinking about, remember some ads way back? Now, some of you will not recognize these ads. Television ads. Commercial time. I remember the shakenvac woman. Does anyone else remember her? Do the shake and vac and put the freshness back. Do the shake and vac and put the freshness back. And she'd swirl around in her big grindle skirt. And she'd be cleaning up. And she'd put, it was powder. You'd put a powder down. And then you'd hoover it up afterwards. Now, there were, people tittering in the cheap seats saying that she was cleaning up after a gangbang kind of orgy thing. But I never let my mind go there. Actually, she was a fine-looking woman, now that I recall. And then the other one was a finger of fudge. Do you remember finger of a fudge? Finger of the fudge, even. Finger of fudge is just enough to give your kids a treat. A finger of fudge. Come on, do you remember this? Is just enough to give your kids a treat. It's very cold outside. It's full of peppery goodness and very small and neat. A finger of fudge is just enough to give your kids a treat. Or as I used to say, a finger of fudge is just enough to rot your children's teeth. Oh, the good old days. Oh, how we laughed. Can I recall any other ads? Oh, yes. I've travelled the road from coast to coast. This was a truck driver. Yorkie and me rolling on Yorkie bars. 'Cause a long day's fun can be short on fun. Long day's run can be short on fun without Yorkie to help me. And then he'd pull up and there was this hot-looking blonde in a sports car. And he'd eye her and he'd, she could see he had a hold of his Yorkie in more ways than one. And she'd give him the eye. That's when men and women were able to give each other the eye without anyone getting offended. You see, it's quite natural that sexes be attracted to each other. Opposite sexes. I know we hear about all the other ones these days. That's fine. But I'm just saying, there was kind of boy-girl stuff going on. That was the dynamic. And he had a big Yorkie in his hand, and she was saying, I wouldn't mind a bit of that. What harm? She had a lovely sports car as well. I think it was an MG. Can I recall any other? There would be Irish ones. Irish ads. There's both eating and drinking and that. That was a soup, I think. Help me out here. Help me out. Yeah. If I gave some of that to my young fella, he'd be running around my old fella. He'd be jumping around the garden. That was a soup. And there was another one for HB ice cream. And I can't remember his second name. But he was an actor called Martin or something or other. And I know because he came in to direct a play. I was in a school called Coloston on Parnell Square. Yes, that same school in the news recently, although the building is a different area. It was Lán Gaeilge. We spoke Irish. And he came in to direct. But anyway, he had a HB ad. And the kid would say to him, "Here, Granddaddy, let's go for ice cream." And he'd go, you'd be quicker yourself. Because at that stage, he was getting kind of rickety. He wasn't far from, 2 wheels and a tartan blanket on his knees. So he was basically saying, fuck off, don't even be talking about ice cream. You're making me hungry. Just go and get it yourself. Yes. Yes. Oh, I can see ads in my head. They swirl around. You must understand, it sounds sad, but we didn't have a TikTok or an Instagram or a Facebook or a X or whatever back then. Which is really bad because, you're spoiled for choice now. But let's face it, when you have too much choice, it doesn't register. Instead, we had, in the early days, we had black and white television. And then, if you got a few bob into the household, you'd end up with a colour TV, which came on the scene in the very late 60s, early 70s across the water in England. Any more ads? Is the ready yet, Mum? The Ready Brek. And you'd see this guy going in, because he'd had his Ready Brek, which is a breakfast cereal, and he had a big fucking glowing thing going around him. Like, he was walking, it was like a force field around him. And that was the Ready Brek thing, because it was like, once he imbibed of the Ready Brek, he got this energy. So it was a glow. He could see how far. He wouldn't want to fart because the frickin' energy beam would go every which way. Can you remember any ads? Please, if you remember any ads, this much is true at protonmail.com or indeed the comments below on YouTube. bear with me because I really want to try and see if I can just recall some more. It's a nice game if you were there in the 70s and 80s. Oh, there was Purcell's shirts, wasn't there? Simon Le Bon did one of those from Duran Duran. He was the boy in the dirty shirts in the 1960s Purcell ad. There was Purcell. Oh, what about, there was a guy, I love this dynamic. His mother, and she was a real mum. You'd want to give her a hug, you know. And he was like a college student. And he was on his way out. And he had, they had something like this for his hooter. It was like a Vicks Sinex thing. Oh. God, that sure cleans out the old passage. And he was all gonged up, and he was on his way. I'd say the poor mum's probably gone now at this stage. Maybe Malcolm, because that was his name. Malcolm was going out with his college scarf on him, and he got, I'm all bunged up, Mum. And she'd say, don't you worry, Malcolm, have a toot of this. And she'd give him the thing, I think it was for his nose, or his lozenges for his throat, whatever the fuck it was. And he was saying, I don't think I can go out like this. And she would say, course you can, Malcolm. Course you can, Malcolm. Everyone needs a mum like that to encourage you. They do. Course you can, Malcolm. And I'm sure he went on to get his exams and probably became a Vicks Sinex salesman. Was it Vicks lozenges or something? Fishermen's Friends, don't recall ads for them. But they always sounded dodgy to me. Now, they're quite potent as well. Fisherman's Friend. You know, come and see the puppies vibes. Stuff is coming to me. Is it coming to you? Please share. Bovril. Frickin' Bovril. Which is a real... The other one, what was it? You either love it or hate it. Wasn't that Horlicks or something? Bovril. Bovril was the hot beefy drink. And it was advertised by Chris Bonington, who, I don't know if he's still with us, but he was this famous British mountaineer. And he'd say, he'd have the fucking Bovril, like, he'd be blowing it like on the top of a glacier thing or whatever. We boiled up snow and ice to make hot juicy Bovril, and how it warmed us, the cockles of us hearts, on the top of Everest. And then for a while, they tried to overdo it. They had a thing called chickerel, which was a chicken-flavoured Bovril, if you like. But I don't think that took off. In fact, the guy had this kind of weird... That's a kind of gob he got. He had a chickerel gob on him. And he'd just hold up the thing like, chickerel. Kind of S-shape. Oh, how we laughed. There was ads for cars as well. Does anyone remember I think it was called a Solara. A Solara. Was it? Who made it? A Solara. And the thing was, there was a strap line and it kept going, you know, you were to be impressed because Mr. X was driving a Solara. Back then, sorry, but the women really didn't get a look in, apart from the one in the Yorkie ad. The Solara was, the strapline was, oh, saw your Solara outside the racecourse yesterday. Saw your Solara outside the corporate office. Saw your Solara outside Mrs. O'Brien's. Saw your Solara outside the Spar. And then, of course, you know, as it went on, people used to take the piss and go, saw your Solara outside the AIDS clinic. Or the pregnancy clinic. Yes, it got very nasty then. But there was another guy, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to inflict this on you. Who recalls this one? Busy day and I'm heading home. No delay in my Daihatsu. Nothing comes close to my Daihatsu. Sound in the rear view mirror. Nothing comes close to my Daihatsu charade. Daihatsu charade. Must have been the late 70s. And, where, listen, I'm going to close on this one. Who remembers the kind of public safety ads there was a spate of them in the UK, in England, and this was early 70s. And these would scare the shit out of kids. That's what they were designed to do. They were public safety. They were warning you about things. Now, they didn't warn you about Rolf Harris, who used to turn up in the swimming pool with a load of kids around him going, once they get that feel in the water, they love it. Who did that to an animal? But that was his thing. All the kids around him like, Jesus, if they only knew. Once they get that feel in the water, they love it. I'd say in more ways than frickin' one as far as he was concerned. But the public safety ones, so they would terrify you. There was one where there was kids playing. They were in a. You had to watch out for kind of watery areas, and one of the kids was hanging off the bough of a tree, and there was this in the background. I know his name, but I can't remember it. He was a famous actor. He used to do Blofeld. Remember him? It was his voiceover. And he was kind of like a monk, this cowled figure, looking at the child, and he'd go, the boy is showing off. And the boy would be going, yeah, hanging out of the bough across the water. Next minute, you probably guessed it, the motherfucking bough cracked. Audible, like, and the kid goes, Wah! And he's like drowning. He's really, his fucking life is flying before him. He's screaming like, and these other kids come along with real Brit accents and go, who's that? You mucking about in the water? And they saved him, and they actually picked this rag up, but the rag was the cowl. They didn't realise there was a spirit within it, and they got the guy out of the water, and they dried off his bollocks and around his shoulders and under his arms, behind his ears and all that. You all right, mate? And the guy was shivering like, he could have been dealing with some Bovril at the time. And the voiceover would go, clever children, I have no power over them. And then, long before Arnold Schwarzenegger, he'd go, I'll be back. And you'd hear an echo. I'll be back. That was one. Then there was another one. It was horrific. It was like a kind of bovine stroke foxy holocaust, I think. And this was where kids were, I don't know if they were chasing dogs or something. Something happened, but they weren't to be near the goddamn railway line. And all these kids get hit by a train, a high-speed train, and there's bits of dogs and bits, it was on children howling in pain. Oh, God, we wouldn't be able to handle it these days because we're all snowflakes, aren't we? We'd be complaining about being offended. Oh, I've been triggered. Oh, we weren't triggered. We were just shit scared. And we knew we wouldn't be going near railway sleepers in a hurry. There was another guy as well, and he was cutting corners on safety when it came to plugging in an electric drill, I think. And he grabbed hold of his wire, if you pardon the expression, and he said, fuck, I haven't got the neutral or whatever, live wire. So he compensated by sticking a matchstick in, and then he was drilling away, singing the theme to the Waltons or whatever, just minding his own business. But didn't the bloody matchstick slip out, and the two wires or something hit each other, and next minute your man is doing a fucking Watusi. And I think he was killed. Or, yeah, he was electrocuted in his overalls. And overall, that wasn't a very satisfactory outcome, was it? But don't cut corners when it comes to plugs. That was the message. Wire the mother and do it properly, or in the words of George Michael, if you're going to do it right. Those ads, when I think back, they were little, nice one, Cyril, nice one, son. That was for bread, I think. And Cyril, the guy who wrote that, was like this copywriter, but his name was Mayle, I think, Mayel something. He went on to write a best-selling book called A Year in Provence. Did you know that? Useless information for today. Now, when it came to crisps, which you can see I was a fan of, crisps or chips, well, I don't know what you call it in the States, but there was a variety. Now, we have potato chips or crisps in Ireland, which are kind of unique to Ireland, although I think Deutschland, Germany owns. Did I just spit there? Sorry, I got excited. Yeah, Germany, I think, owns Tato now. But there was a little Tato man. I look quite like him. Little potato head on him. And a little red coat. So you still see him about. But for a while there was crisps called Goal crisps. And they were advertised by a guy called Steve Highway. What a cool name. And Steve Highway, maybe some of our UK viewers can put me right as to who he played for. Was he in Chelsea? Steve Highway. Yeah, Goal crisps. There was Captain crisps. There was Perry crisps, which were gorgeous. You're sucking your teeth after them. And they had inside, they had a little salt container, a little bag of salt, and maybe even vinegar as well, or is that overdoing it? But there was definitely a little postage stamp size bag of salt. I do. Golden Wonders, of course, are always there. Long pre that frickin' streak of misery Lineker. Salt and Lineker. Manhattan popcorn. Oh, I do remember a jingle that went, I'm Old Man Salt, I'm Victor Vinegar, best darn taste since time beginniger, Tato, salt and vinegar, beginniger. You're saying to yourself, in 60 years, you sure have learnt a lot, Mark. Yes, your education, that was money well spent. Well, what can I say? I was moved by moving pictures. They were exciting, as was some of the young programs that were on. We had bluepeter, of course. They were kind of really square. So I'm moving on to children's programs, so I'm going to get out of there quick because I'm out wearing my welcome here. Bluepeter was very, very old British, wasn't it? You know, jolly hockey sticks, what? And you'd have Leslie Judd, she was nice. And Peter Purvis, sounds like pervert, but Peter Purvis. And they'd wear these big trousers, big bell bottoms, or elephant flares, and there was a daredevil. He did all kinds of things. John Noakes, and of course he had the dog. Get down, Shep. Get down, Shep. Shep. This guy, by the way, still go onto YouTube sometimes and go John Noakes, Nelson's Pillar. He gets on top of Nelson's Pillar. He was a daredevil, and health and safety didn't exist. He's got like a rope tied around his waist, I think. A pair of jeans, his normal shoes. And the guy up there that's showing him what to do is as bad. Oh, it'll make your stomach curdle. Just look at it. And of course, he jumped out of an airplane with the Red Devils. And it was like 5 miles up or something. It was a big. And then he went down, which I did myself. I did it myself. He did a kind of Cresta bobsleigh run in Innsbruck. Many years later did that. One of the most terrifying things I ever did. I have a story in that as well, but I won't bore you with it. But he came down and he came off the bloody thing at high speed. So I do distinctly remember him kind of pulling down a good bit of his trousers on camera and showing this massive bruise on the side of his leg. Now, when it came to the opposite channel, which would have been, I think in my day, it was HTV or ITV, certainly Harlicus, what I used to watch in the Republic of Ireland. But all these programmes were kind of made by Thames Television or in Teddington Lock, I think. There was Magpie, and Magpie were the kind of trendy, I thought it was a trendier kind of programme. And the female presenter in that, oh my God, for a young boy watching her, I mean, she had this cheesecloth blouse and she never wore a bra. She didn't. They were like two burglars behind a curtain. Sorry if I'm losing the snowflake generation. And you were entranced by these pendulous wonders. And she had two guys with her as well. One had big, was white guy called Mick something or other, Mick. And he had a big afro hairstyle. And they used to have an annual vacation. And they take the cameras with them to some exotic part of the world. And I do remember him ending up somewhere like Swahili or with Maasai warriors. And they made him drink a concoction of blood and milk from a horn. Sorry, let me just qualify that. I think it was a hollowed out cow horn or something. And he drank it to be polite, and his eyes went, like, I think it looked like it was nearly going on an ayahuasca trip. He nearly died. And then there was another guy with him as well called Dougie. I think they're all still alive. Susan Stranks, Mick, Dougie. Dougie was cool. They had the long hair and stuff. I wanted to be Dougie. Out of them all, Peter Purvis, fuck off. John Noakes, interesting. Dougie, yeah, I want to be Dougie in a sports car, going to some nightclub in London like, I don't know, Stringfellows, or the other one. Wasn't there there was another one of famous, Golds? Was it Golds? I remember coming across it in the 80s or 90s. There was a club, and I want to be Dougie circa 1975, 76, 73, 74. Man about town, on television, in an E-type Jag, picking up a leggy blonde and going out and shooting the frickin' light fantastic. I know. I'll talk to you tomorrow, I hope. Please, please, you'll get my ding-a-ling. If you make contact, tell me about ads or anything else about the old days or whatever's on your mind. This much is true at, go on, I dare you. This much is true at protonmail.com. All right, if you want to be comments below, that's cool, and the gang as well. Take care, 'cause I care, motherfuckers.